My dear nerds, the mother of all coincidences happened last night. You see, I was preparing to film this video about two new cameras, the OBSBOT Tiny SE and the OBSBOT Meet SE. Both of these are 1080p cameras which can film up to 100 FPS. But there was some drama last night because the only camera that I use from another company, the Insta360 Link, which I loved very much, decided to quickly retire and to go to that webcam heaven up there in the sky. It's too bad because this little guy was still young yet, it could have still lived a happy life. So in a way, these two other cameras came exactly in time, and this amuses me greatly in a way because it's like my camera became jealous of the fact that we had these two others in the house now. So I filed an RMA to Insta360. I'm actually curious if they will send me another one. They don't know that I'm on YouTube with this, so I'll keep you updated with that. But these two other cameras, they are really something else, my dear nerds. And I know what you're about to say. Vlad, I thought you were reviewing handhelds. Why the heck are you on webcams? Well, the answer is quite simple. This whole channel is built on such webcams, and I truly think that everybody, freaking everybody, my dear nerds, can start a YouTube channel with one of these bad boys, and these are super cheap right now. This one, for example, goes for $99 in the US. That's all you basically need to start a YouTube channel nowadays. Granted, you also need a $50 microphone like what I have here, which has fancy LED lights as well. But gone are the days when you actually needed a ton of money and a huge front investment to do a YouTube channel. You don't need to worry about that when cameras like these are around. But even if you don't want to, let's say, start a YouTube channel, which I actually don't think is for everyone, you still have to have meetings or an annoying family member calls you. You need a good webcam, and just like me, you probably don't want to spend an arm and a leg on a webcam, and that's totally okay. And this is where these two little guys come in, because the OBSBOT Tiny SE actually comes at just $99. Well, there is an asterisk here. It comes at $99 if you live in the US, and it's $129 if you live in the rest of the world. And again, the United States has the best prices when it comes to electronics, and as an European, I'm not jealous at all. Not at all. You know? But if this still is a lot, then you can grab a Meet SE for $69, again if you're from the US, and $79 if you're in the rest of the world. But before I continue, my dear nerds, I just want to give that normal disclaimer that no money exchanged hands, nobody saw this video beforehand, all thoughts here are my own, nobody had a say in this video. So, knowing this, let's explore these two little webcams. Let's have a quick look at the OBSBOT Tiny SE. You see, this is what I would call a necky cam. It's the same as two other cameras that I'm using right now. This is on the OBSBOT Tiny 2, and this one is on the OBSBOT Tiny 2 Lite. So imagine my surprise when I got their direct descendant, the more budget-oriented OBSBOT Tiny SE. I'm really curious to see how this one particularly behaves. But before I do an actual video test with it, let's get a look at the specs and what we actually get in the box here. So you would get the OBSBOT Tiny SE camera, a USB-C cable, a USB-C to USB-A adapter, which is very good. And of course you get a manual and a warranty card, but I would say those are not really important. However, this cute little guy, let me just straighten its neck a bit, has quite some nice specs to it. You see, it has a 2.8 sensor on it with a 1.8 aperture, which basically means that with good lighting, you can actually get a very good image out of this. And again, I just want to remind you, this freaking thing is $99, and for $99 it was almost out of this world to expect decent video quality. It also has hand gestures, so you could, for example, turn on motion tracking by just putting your hand like this, and a lot of other goodies which I'm gonna showcase a bit later. And on the audio side, it has dual microphones with noise cancelling as well, so you can actually get pretty decent audio with this. Last but not least, there's an included stand here, which is part of the unit itself, where you can attach this little guy to the monitor. Now, the thing with both webcams is that they both have more or less the same sensor. In fact, you know what? Let me do a quick unboxing of the OBSBOT Meet SE as well. Ooh, brilliance in every frame. You know, usually I really don't like mottos like these, but there's something about white on red with this packaging. Yeah, white on red with this packaging, and then you open it up and you see some Apple-like saying like this. Honestly, I don't find it too annoying. I find it kind of cute and kind of a la Steve Jobs, I would say. This one is a bit different. You know, it's a cute little rectangle and such a small webcam. Look at this. You know, big lens and very small body. I find this very cute, actually. But with this one, the stand is separate. Let me just quickly open this up, and the Meet SE actually has a magnet in it. Which one is the right side? And now the magnet is doing its thing. And the good thing about this particular webcam is that you can put it in portrait as well and shoot portrait. Of course, imagine this being on your laptop screen, right? Or PC screen or monitor or wherever you want to hang it. But yeah, there's a bit of modularity here, and both of these actually have screw holes in case you want to stick them directly to a tripod. In fact, a good point of reference on how usable this is this little guy. You see, let me just quickly take it off so you get a better idea. This little guy right here is the OBSBOT Meet 2, which is the predecessor to this one. This one is a bit more expensive, but both of them do the job just right. And I've always used this for the top-down view on the camera, and now, you know, now you see it upside down. I will have to flip this, but you get the idea. But look at these cute little guys. They're absolutely adorable. As far as the shared specs between them, they both, let me just show this one as well, they both can do up to 1080p at 100 frames per second, which I think is kind of overkill. You're more than okay at 60 FPS. Like I said, they have dual mics, but the OBSBOT Meet SE actually doesn't support noise cancelling, whereas this one does, and they both have a 78-degree field of view, which means that the field of view would be basically enough for you to stretch and flap your arms, but that's about it. But again, remember the freaking price point of these things. Of course, there are better cameras than these out there, but I would argue that at this price, you can't really find any. Anyway, let's actually put them to the test. So, my dear nerds, you're now seeing and hearing me through the Tiny SE, and I'm using the incorporated microphone of this little webcam. And honestly, just by looking at myself in the laptop viewfinder, I'm actually quite impressed. You know, I can see some beard hairs. Yeah, really not bad. And by the way, in case you're asking yourself what's with the new background, well, this is simply the other room in my house. I'm testing it on a slightly different setup because I might make videos in different rooms in the future when I want to spice it up. You know, my current freaking office is a closet. This is more open space, if you will. And this camera supposedly also has hand gesture tracking. So let's see if now it's not tracking me, as you can see. Let's see if I can make it track me by raising my hand. Yes, 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 yes. Do what I want. And now, my dear nerds, you're seeing me through the second camera, the Meet SE. And given the size and just how cheap it is, I think it has a lot of potential. Actually has an auto framing feature which tries to imitate the gimbal on this little guy. But because this camera is basically a square, it more or less accomplishes this via software. So if I pull back, for example, isn't this nice? It still gives you that tracking kind of feature which you see with the more expensive necky cameras, which personally I think is pretty awesome, especially if you're in meetings a lot or if you want to do a stream or something like this. So in the future, if you see me recording from the other room, then you should know that it's either from this guy or from this guy. But anyway, my dear nerds, I want this to be a very quick video. I know it's quite a departure from what I normally review because I, like you, I am really into handhelds and really into emulation, but I wanted to do a quick video on this as well. There's a lot of you fine nerds that told me that you would want to do YouTube as well, and I wanted to emphasize that there's no barrier to entry. There was a bigger barrier to entry last year when I started, and a way even bigger barrier to entry a few years ago when I did now a long forgotten YouTube channel which you will never know about. Hint hint, I dare you to find it. Actually, I take that back, I don't want you to find it. I really do not. But in any case, my dear nerds, if you have any questions about these, leave them in the comments below. I actually read and I answer most of them, and there's gonna be links to both the OBSBOT Tiny SE and the Tiny Meet SE as well in the video description. You can get them either from Amazon or from the OBSBOT website itself. You will have a coupon code which works on either. So depending on the use case, I think this is an invaluable resource to have. Heck, my whole freaking YouTube channel is built on such webcams. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention because I think that good enough things, that things worth mentioning, should be brought to one's attention, even if it's a bit outside of the normal topic pool that we together, you and me, usually talk about. So, my dear nerds, this is enough from me this time. I'm really curious what you think about this little guy and this slightly bigger guy. Both of these are very decent for what they are. But ranting over, my dear nerds, I don't want to prolong this more than it should. I'll see you in the comment section or in the next video or even on Discord. Actually, you should come on Discord. That's where I basically live with all the other nerds that joined that place. And that's the best place where you and me can actually talk directly. So until next time, my dear nerd, I bid you farewell. And as always, don't forget that I love you. Bye.